How did it take me this long to find out about Indivisible? This is a game that's currently in its Indiegogo campaign. It's trying to raise $1,500,000, and it's on fixed funding, so it's like Kickstarter. If they don't hit that, they're not going to get anything. Let's go ahead and play through the demo. This is something you can get for Windows, Mac, or Linux. And fun little fact, the campaign page is in 7 different languages: English, French, Italian, Dutch, Russian, Spanish, and Japanese. If the art style for the character models in particular has kind of a familiar animation effect to it, there's a reason for that.
Rhodey, wait!
And that reason is the people behind this game are Lab Zero Games, the same people who worked on Skullgirls. The backstory for this game is pretty long and pretty deep, lore-wise. So I'll just give you the Cliff's Notes version of this. Ajna is a girl from a little village who learned martial arts to try and defend her village against, well, things like this. In the process, she learned that she has a special ability, which is the ability to summon incarnations. And this goes into the whole, Buddhist idea of death, reincarnation. So the incarnations are kind of these spirits that are in limbo, which she can eventually summon during battle. As the demo goes on, you'll pick up 3 different incarnations. Just by looking at the regular walking around, you're probably getting a bit of a Super Metroid, Metroidvania kind of vibe with this, and that's intentional. They even cite that on the campaign page for this, as well as Valkyrie profile. Let's get into combat, because that's what really grabbed my attention about this game. It's an action RPG, but it has a lot of elements of a traditional ATB system. You wait for your gauge to power up, and then you can do an attack whenever you see a yellow bar appear over the buttons corresponding to each character. And then you hit that button, and you can also hit the button and up or down to do a different type of attack. Like, if you hit up with certain characters and then do the attack, it'll be an attack that hits multiple enemies at once by design. As you attack, you build up the thing in the upper right, which is the ID meter, and that allows you to do super moves with certain characters by hitting attack and a button, or you can use that when the enemy attacks to block their attack, and it's a timing thing, kind of like what they did in Super Mario RPG. Or, of course, you can just leave it there, and then once the battle is over, the remaining ED that's in that meter will be converted back into health and heal everyone on your team. There is a bit of character progression you might notice. Initially, I could only do one attack with a completely full bar on these characters, but Ajna and Zabe are now able to do 2 attacks with a full bar, and you don't have to wait for it to charge all the way. The moment one of those bars fills up, you can do an attack with them. And as we get more party members and they're able to attack more, you're going to notice me start doing a bunch of attacks with a bunch of different people, just one attack after another, after another, after another. And really that's by design, because doing that seems to fill up your ED meter faster, which allows you to use more special abilities for each of your characters, and it just generally takes what would be more traditional, slower, quote-unquote, ATB, turn-based style fights, and inject them with a lot more action. Now that we have Razmi in the party, I should mention that each one of these incarnations has their own backstory for who they are, what they were doing, and so far there are, I believe, 19 of these confirmed for the game. I'm just going off of the ones that are listed on the Indiegogo page. If you do decide to download this demo and give it a shot, I have a couple of things that I should point out which might help your experience go a little smoother than mine. Number 1, if you have a controller, use it. I don't, so I had to bind a bunch of keys to the keyboard to start off, and the way this game works for attacking and blocking is you have to hit each one of those buttons when you want the person to attack, and you also have to hit that button if you want the person to block. There is one button you can hit which will cause all of your characters to block, but if you just keep using that, that causes your ED meter to drain faster than if you were just blocking with one person. I had no idea that was coming, so I bound all of my keys basically in a straight line across the keyboard, and when you're attacking from one side or the other, the button order changes. So I got really thrown off about who was what button. The second thing is, before you get to around this point where I am, experiment with your character's special moves for when the ED meter fills up. And it's not just so you can see the pretty animations and see what attacks your characters will do. Some of them have support effects, and they come really in handy when you're facing the boss of this demo. And you know what, I might as well just come out and say it. Razmi has one special which allows her to heal the entire party. Not completely, but it's a healing effect. Then of course, because the boss summons other hungry ghosts and stuff to help it out, it becomes this balancing act of trying to make sure you have enough ED left to block incoming attacks, and having enough ED to have Razmi cast her healing ability. And the boss in this demo is pretty strong, so you gotta do a lot of crowd control for when it summons all those monsters, otherwise it's just going to be attack after attack after attack you have to block, and you're going to run out of ED and not be able to block anything. And one final thing I almost forgot to mention about this game, the music is being composed by Hiroki Kikuta. Those of you who don't know who that is, it's the guy who did the music for Secret of Mana. I did one of the songs for strumming the bass line, so I'm a pretty big fan of what he does. And I'm really excited to see what he could do with this kind of game.
Let's go, Rodi!